Abby in Cowden, Illinois. Hey, Abby, what's up?
How are you, Tom?
I'm well.
I wanted to tell you just a real quick story. When my son was a senior in high school, we were on vacation. He said, "Hey, Mom, can I go back home?" And we said, "Sure, you can go back home." It was just going to be for a day. Well, he went back home, and he had a big party at our house. And he had city council member kids there and school board member kids there, and a lot of the community was there. And the police came, and he got caught. And what had followed after that is the kids were all sitting around talking and saying that one of the children was related to the chief of police and that he blew the highest for alcohol, and they allowed him to get in his car and drive off and go home.
Right.
And I was just astonished by this. And so I said, "Is this true? Is this story true?" And they were saying yes. They were all sitting around talking about it. So I decided that night that I would call a police officer that we were friends with and tell him about this and ask him how I go about making a complaint about this, because he put our family in liability for him getting in that car and driving home. So I called the police officer, and he said, "You do not want to pursue this at all." He said that they're a tight-knit group, that they would probably follow me, or they might even follow my son. They might plant something on us. He said, "You need to drop this completely." And he said, "Don't ever talk about that ever again to anybody."
Whoa.
So then that night, at about 2 o'clock in the morning, the doorbell starts ringing and a pounding on the door. And I get up and I go downstairs, and it's a police officer. And I said, "Sir, what's wrong? I mean, what's going on?" And he comes in, he walks into my house, and he walks all over our whole entire house. He says, "What a gorgeous home we have, and how much he loves our home," and he's just going on. And then he says he wants to see my son. And my son and my husband were kind of standing hidden on the staircase. They weren't going to come down. And I said, "Sir, we're very well aware of that he had this party. We are very upset about it, and, we're taking care of this." And he goes, "No, I want to talk to him." And I said, "No, he knows he has a court date, and, he's going to be punished for this." He says, "Ma'am, I want him down here now." So I call up because I knew they were on the staircase, and I asked him to come down. And he said to the police officer said, "When is your court date?" And he told him the court date, and he told him the time. And after that, the man left, and I never talked about that ever again.
Wow.
To anybody. And
so he was just there to intimidate you, basically.
Yeah, and my husband, who is a Republican, Donald Trump supporter.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
He said that was intimidation. We could have gotten an attorney on all this.
Yeah.
And I said to my husband, we're never talking about this ever again.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not putting my family at risk. I'm not putting Andrew at risk. I said, we are never talking about this ever again in our lives.
Yeah.
And that was 15 years ago in a city, and we were upper middle class family.
Yeah.
So
yes, it is. There was a comment made by a black former, I believe it was South Carolina, maybe it was Texas, police officer on MSNBC I saw yesterday, and somebody said, half of the cops who killed Freddie Gray were black. And he said, it's not about black or white, it's about blue versus everybody else. It's once you're on the inside, once you're a police officer, everybody closes ranks. And boy, that story, your story is, that's an incredible story, Abby. Abby, thank you for the call, and thanks for listening. Thanks for watching Free Speech TV.